Hello, welcome to a new video from the digital SAT course with me, Mr. Gamal. In this video, we're going to be tackling a function question in which you have a text with an underlined section or sentence, and you need to get to know the function of this underlined section or sentence in the text as a whole. The best way to ace this question type is to go through the sentences in the text one by one, get to know the idea presented by every single sentence, and in some cases, if it is a scientific text, you need to just compare the ideas presented by the underlined sentence and the sentences that come before or after it, or the other sentences in a text. In the literary text like this one, you need to get to know the idea presented by every one of the sentences, specifically the underlined one. And having this in mind, you can go to the answer choices so you can get to know the exact function of this underlined sentence. Now let's get started. So it says here, John is a child who likes or who lives in a town in the Watts. Perhaps 10-year-old John was puzzling to the folk there in the Florida Watts, for he was an imaginative child and fond of daydreams. So the idea here is that he was puzzling to the people living in this place, and he was imaginative and fond of daydreams. The second sentence. The St. John River flowed scarce 300 feet from his back door, so he lives next to a river. On its banks, at this point, grow numerous palms, luxuriant magnolias, and bay trees. On the bosom of the stream float millions of delicately colored hyacinths. So this is only a description of the scene. These three sentences describe a scene. Now to the underlined section. John Whedon loved to wander down to the water edge and, casting or throwing in dry twigs, watch them sail away downstream to Jacksonville, which is the town, I think, the sea, which is a farther area or a farther place, the wide world. And he refers to John here, wanted to flow or to follow them. So here, the function of what is presented, the idea presented in this underlined section is that John here sits next to the river, keeps throwing twigs and washes them as they go away, and watches if he could follow them to the town, to the sea, and maybe to the whole world. Now, having this in my mind, I'm going to go to the answer choices so I can get to know the function of the underlined section. So, A here says, it provides an extended description of a location that John likes to visit. For sure, this is not correct. Maybe there is a description of the location, but it was in the sentences that come immediately before the underlined section. But here we are specific. We need to get to know the function of the underlined sentence, not any other sentences. So A is not correct. B, it reveals that some residents of Johnstown are confused by his behavior. For sure, this is not correct. I'm sure that there wasn't a mention of something like that, that people are puzzling about his behavior, about his being imaginative and daydreams, and about his behavior as a whole, but this was mentioned in the first sentence, not in the underlined section or sentence. For sure, this tells us that B is not correct. Now to the answer choice C. It illustrates that the uniqueness of John's imagination compared to the imaginations of other children. For sure, this is not correct because there was no any mention of any other children in the text, and this tells us that B is not the correct answer. And this leaves us with D, which for sure is the correct answer because A, B, and C are not correct. So D is the correct answer, but we need to read it so we can make sure that it is the best answer. So here D says, it suggests that John longs to experience a larger life outside the Florida Watts. For sure, this is the correct answer choice. Why? Because this underlined section tells us that he sits next to the river and keeps throwing some twigs and washes them as they go far away, and washes if he could follow them to the sea, to the town, and even to the whole world. So this tells us that he longs to experience a larger life outside this specific place. And that's all for this question. D is the correct answer, and see you soon inshallah in the following video.